What up? Happy Saturday. Good morning. So over the last couple of weeks, I've had time to really process. Over the last week, it's been a lot of processing. I asked myself a lot of questions. And, like one is like, you're going to go to a certain number of these and then you're going to stop doing it. And I asked myself last night, why? Why did I pick that? But, and I've done a lot of writing too. Good writing, actually. And I feel like, the word surrender, surrendering in general, I'm learning a lot about that. It's so much easier now that I look back, and I'm only speaking on behalf for me. It's so much easier to surrender to things that I don't want in my life, that like drugs and alcohol. I hated how I felt when I would do that, and I'd have so much fucking PTSD, so much trauma, so much whatever, that felt like the go-to for so many years. So I had to surrender to it. It made everything unmanageable. My life, me as a father, me as a employee, a sibling, a son, a member of society. So surrendering to that, I'm not going to say it was easy. I mean, if it was easy, I wouldn't have gotten to this place. But surrendering to something that I don't want to surrender to, something I feel is good for me, something I feel I'm good for, something I feel that makes me a better person. Now that, on the other hand, is a lot harder to surrender to. And what I'm learning is that sometimes we have to surrender to the thing, and other times we have to surrender to the pain. We have to surrender to the process, to the crushing. I'm learning on not to ask why, but to ask what. I'm learning that spiritual awareness, that spiritual awakening comes at many different stages of our lives, of my life. I'm in a spiritual awakening, I feel, right now. I can tell by the way I'm writing. I can tell by the way I'm thinking, the way I'm processing. To feel crushed and not feel failure is a new development for me. And I don't know if I want to say crushed, although, yeah, for sure. But not in a bad way. In a good way. It doesn't feel good when your skin is crawling. It doesn't feel good when you're confused, wondering what happened. But it's a necessary part of, I don't know about changing, but it is change. But change for the better. I feel pretty far away from being able, from saying like, well, at least I didn't get loaded over something. Because that's like what I prayed for was like, that would be just the obvious, like any situation in my life. Well, I didn't get loaded over that. That's that go-to. Like before that, it was like, I'm grateful that I'm not on fucking fire. And I haven't had to think that in a while. Right. So it's this, phase of my life, that the season of my life that I'm some things were brought out of me that I don't think I've ever wanted to face, really. And they were brought out of me by the most wonderful experience I've had so far. A good experience, a great experience, but an experience at that. And it's teaching me. Like, it's teaching me to not act a certain way, to not be a certain way. I mean, sure, there was some lingering stuff going on there, but for the most part, I leaned on God, I leaned on writing, and I leaned on staying in it. Like, I refused to distract myself while I felt it. And that's new for me. That's a new thing for me. I mean, when I think back to the seasons of my life over this, since I got clean, I think back to the distractions that I did. One season of my life, I went to the gym twice a day. I call it a transferring of pain. It was a distraction. The other season of my life, I hiked. And I told myself, this is me finding a spiritual side of me. And they were. It's how I got through those seasons of my life. This season of my life. Walking through it. Having gratitude. Holding my head up high. With grace. Feeling it. Appreciating it. Love is an action. Can you love something enough to let it go because you know that it needs to be let go? Even if you know deep down inside that it may not have wanted to, but it had to. And even if it felt right, and it was right, it wasn't the right time. May never be. But being able to learn in that, the fire, we're forged in the fire. I heard the most amazing thing yesterday about being forged in the fire, of what you can handle. And when you walk through it with God in the forefront, well then, with grace, with kindness, without resentment, anger, knowing there's fear, but walking with the fear. I really, really like the concept of you don't surrender to the thing, although you have to, but you don't. That's not the point. Like, how do I surrender to this? You surrender to the pain. You surrender to the uncomfortability, to the process. And you embrace it. Yesterday was the first day in a while. At least it feels like a while. A while is perspective, right? That I felt a shift. I was writing, it's about not why did this happen? It was good. But what am I gaining from this? What am I learning from this? And as I wrote that and I finished that, I felt better. And then I watched that video by Napoleon Hill. And he said that we are molded by the fire, and some avoid it, and others walk through it. And the ones that walk through it, they're being prepped. It's a pruning process. And if you're willing to take on the pruning process by sitting with it and learning it and experiencing it and not being a shithead about it, then the gift that's you're to receive later on, you're able to receive. Because if you don't go through that process, then when you get whatever gift you're going to get, it's not going to, you're going to destroy it. You're not going to be able to handle it. And I'd like to believe that the next version of myself, this future version of myself, with situations like this, will give me the ability to provide whoever, whatever, whenever, a better version of myself. And it'll happen again and again, maybe in other forms. So I asked myself last night, why did you put a cutoff? I thought it was to 2 years. And I knew the answer to that question. It was this insecurity driven by, I don't want to do this anymore. And I'm not saying that it won't be the case. I just needed to understand why. Then and there I decided that. And then call myself out in here. Today, I feel 1% better. And this 1% better is a bunch of percents better than a couple weeks ago. Today, I feel a little more aware of what's this thing, and not necessarily needing to know why, but now asking what. And it's not the like, what was the point of that? It's, what am I gaining from it? What am I learning from it? And then I thought about, like, when I was in treatment, that spiritual awakening I had, where like everything was lining up and I got to see it as it unfolded. If I'm open-minded to the fact that that's happening, then the signs that I've been seeing are when I looked up and saw a cloud and it was heart. It may not have been what I thought it was, but I do know this. Maybe it was provided to let me know that something out there loves me. And even though I'm feeling this way, it's showing me, hey, I love you, opposed to what I thought it might have been. And then sent out, a bunch of shit. Because I can turn signs into fucking anything I want to turn it into. I could see a snake fall from a tree and think that that's something, if I really truly want to believe that. I do know this. There are 2 times in my life that I've prayed so hard. Recently, and when I got clean. And both times, I've been able to learn and go through and be forged in fire. I'm being forged currently. This perspective I have currently right now is the forging, is the crushing, is the pruning, is the learning. And I still love myself. And I still love others. And I don't want to disappear. And I don't want to run away. And I'm okay. I'm okay. And I'm grateful. Man, that was a... Well, if you don't know, you don't know. So, go into the light, go into the day, go into the night, and be who you're becoming. And take it with a grain of hope, and turn around and stop running. That's all I got. Have a good day.